Carl Grimes, the son of the infamous Rick Grimes, had one of the most compelling coming-of-age stories in The Walking Dead.
Now give me the gun. My dad killed your dad, but you need to know something. Your dad was an asshole.
He started as a curious and somewhat naive kid, but the apocalypse forced him to grow up fast, becoming a symbol of hope for the future and one of the most badass members of the entire group.
What do you think?
You should jump out the window to save me the trouble of killing you.
He experienced the horrors of the world firsthand, lost loved ones, and made difficult choices. Prepare to witness the harrowing journey of a child forced to grow up too fast in the face of unimaginable horrors and discover the powerful message of hope that emerged from his story. A peaceful moment in the woods becomes a life-altering experience for young Carl. While searching for Sophia with his father Rick and Shane, Carl spots a deer in the woods. Fascinated by this rare and random moment of beauty, he approaches the deer. As Carl moves closer, a gunshot rings out. The bullet passes through the animal and strikes Carl in the torso. He collapses, his world fading to black as the pain overwhelms him. This brush with death marks a turning point in Carl's life. The physical trauma and long recovery process forces him to confront his own mortality at a young age.
Almost there.
Stop! You're killing him!
Rick, do you want him to live?
He needs blood.
Do it now!
Rick was literally about to die himself, giving Carl all of his blood. The incident shatters his innocence, making him acutely aware of the constant danger. As he recovers, Carl develops a newfound resilience and determination. He begins to push himself to become stronger, to learn survival skills, and to contribute more to the group. Next was an absolute shocker of the scene. Carl's act of shooting Shane is a defining moment that marks the ending of his childhood. Shane, Rick's former best friend, has become a dangerous threat to the group, and Rick is forced to confront him in a deadly one-on-one.
You're making me do this shit. This was you, not me. You did this to us. This was you, not me.
As Rick relishes in the moments after killing Shane, the reanimated Shane tries to attack Rick when he notices Carl standing in the distance. In the midst of Rick's shock and mental realization of what just happened, Carl, in a surprising twist, shoots Shane. I honestly thought Carl was about to send one Rick's way because Carl considered Shane a father figure to him while Rick was in the hospital and missing. This act demonstrates the terrible choices children were forced to make during the apocalypse. After Herschel's farm was overrun, the group is struggling to stay on their feet and survive. After Lori gives birth to Judith, she dies, and Carl is forced to shoot her to prevent reanimation. Carl has to make the hard decision to make sure she does not turn in Rick's absence. This act shows how fast Carl had to grow up and mature for the better of his family. Carl has been going through it time and time again since Season 2 started. Throughout the series, Carl takes the responsibility of protecting his younger sister. Judith is born into a world of chaos, and Carl sees it as his duty to keep her safe. As Carl grows older, he begins to see the flaws in Rick's decisions and the heavy cost of his leadership style, sowing seeds of doubt about their future. Throughout the series, Rick makes difficult choices that often put the group in harm's way, believing these sacrifices are necessary for survival. For example, Rick made the conscious decision to stay away and ignore the governor after the first attempt of the prison siege by Woodbury, and this resulted in their safe haven ultimately being destroyed. This scene causes Carl to feel even more blame about other members of the group dying or getting injured. Carl becomes more vocal, challenging Rick's authority and expressing his frustration with the consequences of his decisions.
Hey, asshole! Hey, shitface! Hey,
Watch your mouth.
Are you kidding me?
Carl starts to believe that Rick's way of thinking is too harmful, and he tries to express and show the group that it may be time to start thinking in a new direction. Carl has witnessed a lot of his loved ones get hurt and pass away, and no longer wants to allow the trend to continue.
You just wanted to plant vegetables. You just wanted to hide. He knew where we were, and you didn't care. You just hid behind those fences and waited for... They're all gone now. Because of you!
Carl's growing willingness to challenge his father directly reflects the central question of the show. At what cost do we survive and protect the ones we love? During the prison raid, Carl is forced to make a brutal decision when a young Woodbury soldier shows up in the woods as members of the group are finding a safe place to hide. Carl thinks about all the times someone was spared and it ultimately led to someone getting killed. Carl kills the boy in front of Herschel without thinking. As the kid was surrendering and clearly afraid, Carl straight whaps this dude, killing him instantly. Herschel is distraught and is in complete awe of what Carl just did. This is something Carl was very passionate about and felt no remorse, as he felt like this is what was needed to keep the family safe. Amidst the chaos and danger after the prison battle, Carl finds a small moment of joy and normalcy in a can of chocolate pudding. As the group is separated and moving to another location, Carl stumbles across an abandoned house, scavenging for supplies, while Rick is in full recovery mode. Here, we see Carl find a room with comic books and video games, a flash of life before all the madness. Searching through the house, he finds a huge can of chocolate pudding. This was an important moment because it showed us that Carl, at the end of the day, is still a kid and will never get to experience the normal life of a growing teenager. He eats the entire can of pudding on the roof of a house all by himself, an action that would ideally be shared with everyone, but he is not thinking that way. Carl has the awareness to understand how special and rare this moment really is. Honestly, this was a chance for him to just be a kid and enjoy the things life can bring. This is a small but significant reminder of the simple pleasures that have been lost in this world-ending apocalypse. This was one of the events that literally had viewers' jaws hit the floor. While the group is integrating into Alexandria, the community seems safe. Leading up to this point, every time the group feels safe, we know something intense is about to mess up the whole vibe. Carl and the others are walking amongst an insane amount of walkers as they are trying to get back to safety. The Andersons traveling with the group get nervous and straight collapse under the pressure of being surrounded by the horde. In my opinion, it was obvious that Sam couldn't handle being around walkers. Jesse should have been the one to take Judith to the church with Sam, and Gabe should have taken her place with the group. But hey, here we are. Under this moment of sheer panic, Ron points a gun at Rick. In a split decision, Michonne comes in the clutch once again and stabs Ron. The gun still goes off, and Carl is shot in the eye.
Carl.
This event hits different as Carl comes face to face with death itself, and Rick begins to crash out, similar to when Lori was killed. The loss of his eye becomes a visible symbol of the brutality of the world and a constant reminder of the ever-present danger. One of Carl's most defiant moments comes when he sneaks into the Savior's sanctuary and confronts Negan. Fueled by anger and grief over the loss of Abraham and Glenn, honestly, probably more Glenn, Carl sneaks into the sanctuary with the intention of assassinating Negan.
I only want Negan. He killed my friend. No one else needs to die.
Carl understands what needs to be done to eliminate this problem once and for all, and he's not waiting for anyone, especially Rick. Carl gets caught, ultimately disarmed, and taken on a tour of the compound with Negan. Here, we see Negan force Carl to show his eye. This scene highlights Carl's courage and his willingness to face danger head-on. It also peeks into his vulnerability as a kid, as he exposes his physical scar to Negan, a symbol of the trauma he has endured. The exchange showcases the complex dynamic between Carl and Negan, one of my favorite duos in the show, and it also shows Carl's fortitude in the face of adversity. This scene is impactful as it shows that in the future, Carl would have been a boss-level problem to deal with. Carl's acceptance of his impending death is a powerful and emotional moment. While helping Sadiq, Carl is bitten by a walker, and he knows that death is closing in. He tries to hide it, but the sickness eventually takes over. In his final moments, Rick and Michonne are there with him in the church. He tries to comfort them, assuring them that everything will be all right and that there is still hope for the future.
I grew up. I have to do this. Me.
It was hard not to be emotional in this moment, as the audience felt like we grew up with Carl and saw the potential for him to take over the leadership role and become a formidable leader of the group. But we'll just blame the producers on this one. This moment signifies the growth and maturity of Carl and shows that he can face death with courage and acceptance. Even in his final moments, he's thinking about others and trying to offer them comfort. It's a powerful testament to his character and his unwavering belief in a better world. Just when I think they can't do any more emotional damage to me, we hear Carl's final letters as a message of hope and peace for the future. Knowing his time is short, Carl pours his heart out into multiple letters, addressing it to Rick, Negan, and the entire community. He yearns for an end to the senseless violence and a future where people can live together in harmony, remembering their shared humanity instead of focusing on their differences. It's a powerful and emotional moment that brings tears to their eyes and ours, as it forces them to confront the consequences of their actions and the possibility of a better future. Carl is now gone, but his words have a profound impact on everyone. The letters serve as a catalyst for change, inspiring Rick to finally lay down his arms and seek a path towards peace with Negan and the Saviors. This moment signifies a turning point for the entire Walking Dead universe, setting the stage for a new era of cooperation and rebuilding. And there you have it, folks. From a scared child forced to make impossible choices to a selfless hero who inspired hope for the future. Carl's journey captivated audiences. He taught us that even in the darkest of times, we must never lose sight of our humanity. With that being said, see you in the next video. And always, thanks for watching.